Hello, Internet. Welcome to NerdChat. Rick, this is my time with you. I need you to pay attention to me.
You don't get my time.
Well, that's really rude. So anyway, it's been a while, guys. So what we're going to be talking today about is Spider-Man and the X-Men. So
I have a feeling that this is not going to be a good Spider-Man and the X-Men story.
You'd be correct.
Why? This is why I don't want to give you my time, because you do this with my time.
I was going to be doing, I am still going to be doing this bigger story with Spider-Man and the X-Men where, it's this big crazy team up between, Kraven the Hunter and Mr. Sinister. However, so that's a 4-issue thing, and that's going to be broken into 2 parts. And that was going to be it. But at the end of that collection is this story right here called called Along Came a Spider, which is from an issue of the X-Men where they run into Spider-Man for the first time. And it is more horrible than you can hope.
But that's the opposite of what I hope. I don't want it to be horrible.
It's really not good. Have no one seen my my Gorilla Grodd episodes? This is gonna be very similar.
No,
it's really bad. These old comics, they're my favorite thing.
Old comics are so bad.
They're so bad, and I think it's my favorite thing to write about now. But anyway, so yeah, we're gonna be dealing with this. So this is, oh god, I think I wrote it down somewhere. Maybe I didn't. It's issue 38 or something of the X-Men. But anyway, this whole thing, I promise you, what you hear here is not as good as the story you're going to get next week. So please come back. But bear with me. This is going to be a trip.
Don't do this to them as our return debut.
I think that it's the perfect thing for our return debut.
No.
I'm going to get into the story now. So this issue starts by beating us over the head with exposition. So Banshee is seen soaring through the mountains of Central Europe, and he's looking for a team called the Factor 3. And if you don't know who those are, that is okay. Because I didn't, and I had to look them up, and I learned nothing. There is, a paragraph written about them on
because
their
they're
Wikipedia
garbage.
page. I'm not even entirely positive who was all on the team. But we'll get back to that, because I think I figured out more of it later. Because I didn't read, the 30-something other odd issues of X-Men leading up to this. I just read this. But from what I was able to figure out, the Factor 3 is a short-lived team in X-Men comics led by Mutant Master. Banshee was forced to work with them due to some explosive headpiece, but the X-Men saved him, and that's why he's helping them now. And he goes and he is using his ultrasonic probing thing. He explains it to find a hollow spot in a mountain, and he does, and a stone slab opens, and he just goes right inside because of course you do. And he finds what he describes as a large mechanical quote unquote spider. I would not call it that. He does, though.
Is that what this thing looks like? It's awful.
It does not look like a spider. I mean, no, it just doesn't. I'm not going to give them any credit here. But the mechanical spider shoots a paralyzing beam at Banshee. And when he's losing the fight, he dives out of the caves, and he manages to soar to his home base, and he tries to contact the X-Men. Now he knows the Factor 3 are gonna be after him soon, so he tries to get the message sent out as fast as he can. And then we cut to the X-Men, who are currently looking for clues on the Factor 3. Angel returns from a scouting mission and informs the team that he found traces of a saucer-shaped vehicle that landed nearby. Apparently, in issue 32, Professor X was taken away by a saucer-shaped vehicle while the X-Men fought the Juggernaut. I guess. I haven't read it.
That sounds like old X-Men.
But that was the note at the bottom of the panel that says that. So this is when the message from Banshee comes in, and Banshee gets the message sent, but he passes out while he's in the middle of it. And he's taken aboard what is called a Grabo disc, which is the saucer-shaped thing that Angel was talking about.
A gravo disc?
Yes. GRAVO apostrophe disc.
Josh, I hate old comics.
Or dash disc, not apostrophe. And he's to be taken to Mutant Master, we assume. Fearing Banshee alerted the X-Men. Mutant Master sends a reconnaissance unit to America. And in Banshee's weakened state, he was only able to get the message out, beware the spider. That's all he was able to get. Because like, this is not like an audio message. It's like those like white strips of tape.
At least back then, miscommunication made sense.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's like, oh, miscommunication. Now the heroes are going to fight to the death.
Yeah, I mean, that is the rest of this comic. So, while the X-Men are obviously confused about Spider, we cut to Peter Parker, who is just, for whatever reason, Peter's taking a day to get out of the city. He's on a motorbike, and he went out to Westchester County.
For just no reason.
Literally, so here is the best part. Peter claims, out loud, it feels almost like fate was pulling him here.
They're so bad.
And he parks his bike and he heads down to a stream near an old abandoned mill because he wants to explore it. He's like, a little kid in me wants to go explore that mill. Then an egg-shaped pod, like a big metal egg-shaped pod, just comes crashing down. So he hops into the mill and changes into Spider-Man. The Spider-Bot thing pops out of the pod, and Peter notes that it looks like a Spider-Man out of metal. It does not.
This thing... I mean, it's on screen right now. This is not a spider. Not even remotely.
No, it's just a big metal orb with, like, Doc Ock legs. And so... It fires the same paralyzing beam at Spider-Man, but he easily dodges it because he has spider sense. And Spidey suspects that from the way it's moving, it's being guided manually by a person. I don't know how, but he says that. So I guess he does.
Because old comics.
So he's like trying to dodge it, and apparently somehow it snuck around him at incredible speed. I guess. It's
fast like a spider.
Anyways, he ducks in the mill for cover, and we go back to the X-Men. They get a notification of a mutant at a nearby Hawk's Mill, which is just outside the Xavier property, very conveniently. So the mill that Spider-Man is at is just outside.
It's like down the street.
It's like around the corner. Really my favorite part of the comic, I think. So
I hate how much you're smiling about how bad this comic is. He's so happy right now.
It's so bad. I told you, this is like my favorite thing now. It's just these old, horrible comics. But my favorite part is that they leave and they just drive there in the Rolls Royce. But it's spelled wrong. Because they spell it right later. But it's spelled ROVCE. They didn't put the rest of the line for the Y. So it's a V. So it's Rolls Royce. But anyway, the fight between Spider-Man and the Spider-Bot, which I spelled boy, continues. And Peter manages to land on top of it and use the head blast paralyzing beam to shoot the bot's own body, and it causes it to explode. And the blast smacks Peter into a wall, and it knocks him out for a little while. Apparently, the bot was designed to disintegrate if it was destroyed. So, here's what happens. So, they leave Jean behind, a telepath, at this point. For anyone who's about to run down in the comments and be like, well, she only had telekinetic powers at the beginning. She has her telepathy at this point.
She was a telepath.
She was a telepath. So, she could have read his mind and been like, oh, he's not the guy that we're after.
That's why they left her.
That is why they left her. I know. So that is why they did this, and now the boss designed to disintegrate. All these things happened so that the X-Men, the 4 boys at least, have a reason to fight Spider-Man.
Old comics are built on the worst plot inconveniences. Yeah. Spider-Man got hurt. What about spider sense? We'll just ignore it this time.
Fuck it. But anyway, this is when the X-Men arrive, and Spider-Man's starting to wake up. So they see Spider-Man, no Spider-Bot, and they don't have Jean or the professor to read his mind because he was captured by the Factor 3. And they're like, well, Spider-Man, we were just told to beware a spider. He must be working for the Factor 3. And
of course,
while this is their first, like, real, like, official, like, meeting with Spider-Man, they have met him one other time before this, but it was, like, the course of 3 panels. Do I explain in here? Yeah, I do. So, X-Men number 27, basically what happened is, the X-Men were trying to chase down these guys, and Spider-Man had already defeated these thugs and was, like, waiting for the police to come pick them up. And while the X-Men were following the trail, they found him, and they're like, oh, well, thanks. And Xavier told the team to invite Spider-Man to join them, and Spider-Man declined. Because he had just failed an initiation with the Avengers, and he just wasn't feeling cut out for a team at the moment. So they're like, well, they immediately attack Peter, demanding to know where Professor X is. Spidey doesn't want to fight, so he just dodges Angel, and he goes up into the mill. He webs Warren's wings and yanks him down to the ground, and then he dodges an ice ball and heads up to the mill where Beast follows him. Hank fails to catch Peter, but he does start to think that maybe they might have acted a bit too hastily. Because they do know in the past that Spider-Man's a hero. So it's a little weird for them to be like, go, get that guy who was definitely a hero the other day. But their only message is beware the spider. So it's all like, it doesn't even look like a Spider-Man. But anyways, Spidey kicks Beast down off of the mill, and Angel, he mentions how genius the webbing must be because he just got it off of his wings. But also at the same time, no one knows at this point that his webs are, like, his web shoes are mechanical. Like, people probably, like, gotta just assume that if he's Spider-Man, that his web is, like, an organic thing. So it's weird that he was like, oh, these webs are ingenious. I'm like, but how do you know that they're mechanical?
Because old comics, you're gonna have to start making a meme for all these videos. Just take the aliens guy and put my face on his body and just put old comics underneath.
I mean, it's simply the fact of Comic Drake. His catchphrase is "because comics."
Because comics. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
I just need a picture, Drake. If you watch this video, I need you to do the aliens. The aliens
comics.
Thing.
Do it for
and
us,
I want
please.
you to put a thing that says "become comics," and because comics, and I will gladly make sure that meme goes viral with every ounce of my power.
Sign it up. I'm down.
Anyway, so Peter's really confused why they're acting like he's he's the bad guy. So he dodges Iceman, and Cyclops realizes, like, man, this Spider-Man, pretty talented dude. They can't beat him head on. So he decides to try to talk with him, and we take a quick break to go back to Jean, who found a note from Xavier that they have a way to directly talk to Banshee through his headband. I don't know how. It's like they like beam it right up to a satellite, and it like communicates with him somehow. So,
but they're still sending messages with shitty tape telegraphs.
Well, the thing is, Xavier got taken away before he was able to pass on the information, apparently. So, I mean, it's all plot convenience.
It's dumb. It's what it is.
People tell the story they want to tell, man. Meanwhile, back at the fight, they demand to know his connection with the Factor 3, and Peter truthfully has no idea what they're talking about. So Spidey tries to run, but Cyclops orders everyone to take him. And so they can, take him in and interrogate him to see if he's lying. They surround Spider-Man. He ducks into the mill, but Beast is waiting for him inside. And Peter, however, is stronger than him. So he just, shakes him off. Iceman freezes like a block of ice around Peter's feet, but Spidey breaks through the ice. So Angel distracts him while Cyclops shoots through Peter's web, causing him to fall through the window into the creek. Then Jean sends out a message.
No, not the creek.
Yeah, he falls it's like a 2-foot creek. He falls in there. He's he's just wet. But Jean messages the team, and then they realize that Spider-Man is not the real threat. Or not the real Spider-Menace they're after. So Peter explains to them about the spider, quote-unquote spider bot that he fought earlier. So they compare notes and realize that the alert they got for a mutant, because Peter's not a mutant.
No.
They got an alert for a mutant at the mill. For some reason, the bot was built like it's like a mutant built bot. So it had traces of mutant gene or whatever.
So it was a cyborg?
I don't have any idea. Anyway, the X-Men go to head back to Jean without Spider-Man. They just, in order to keep their identity safe, because they don't want to, like, no one knows who the X-Men are at this point. So they want to keep their identity safe, so they just leave. And Spider-Man's just like, okay, like, you just, like, sit in the creek, like, well, screw you guys.
Threw me in the water, you assholes.
But, so the X-Men now have the location of the Factor 3, and they head out to save the Professor, or perhaps even the world.
Is that a line?
Maybe.
Is that line actually in that comic?
You'll have to watch the video.
I hate
you. Will find out.
So much.
And that is Along Came a Spider.
It's bad,
It's
man.
really bad.
It's so bad.
It's my favorite. But anyway, so that was the first meeting. And the reason that I did want to cover it is because they do... The next stories that we're covering... it does go over the fact that like they'd met previously and stuff like that. So
does it call back to this damn spider bot?
No, it does not call back to the spider bot, but it does at least bring up the fact of like how they have met before and like why they're similar in a way. So I felt it was important enough to share and to do it first. But I didn't. I read it. I'm like, I can't not make a video about this.
You've had the dumbest smile this entire
I
time.
love it so much. It's so bad. So, yeah, that is that. So, yeah. So, subscribe if you haven't. Leave comments or whatever you do. Please tell me what you think about this horrible disgrace of a comic that I just read to you.
Tell him it's bad. I'm going to tell him it's bad. You tell him it's bad. Tell him not to do it.
But please come back for a much better story.
We have actual stories coming up.
So, yes. Anyway, if you haven't seen our update video as well, go and check that out. And if you want another comic that was very similar to this, I will leave a link to my Gorilla Grodd ones because they're really bad and I love them. But all right, I hope you all have a great day. Check the description below if you want to join our Discord and talk to us. And then talk to us either there or just in the comments more about what videos you want to see from us or what you thought of this.
Yeah. So. And thanks for coming back.
Yes, thank you for sticking with us. Goodbye.